Hello, everybody, and welcome to Back to School. Uh, my name is Mr. Swanson, and we're going to go ahead and just go over a few slides with respect to seventh grade world history this year. So, as I said, my name is Mr. Swanson. The reason why I chose CCMS specifically to teach at is because I enjoy working in an environment that's really student driven. A lot of schools that I've worked at over the years tend to be more so focused on staff needs and teacher needs and things like that, which is important. But ultimately, at the end of the day, it's the students that really are the ones that end up mattering and should really drive any decisions with respect to education and any curriculum and teaching. So I currently teach seventh grade world history and advisory, specifically for UCLA, seventh grade world history, of course, for all of the cohorts that are within seventh grade, but specifically advisory for UCLA. And there's a picture of me and my little dog, Aria. She's a little corgi. I've had her for about a year or so. And that was when we went to the beach together with my fiance taking the picture. So it was a really nice day, really beautiful. And it was just yeah, those are some really good times. Okay, so a little bit of background on my education. I got my Bachelor of Arts in History and Political Science at Vanguard University. It's a small private Christian university actually in Costa Mesa. And if you ever been to the OC Fair, I always like joking around because it's a really hard school to find at times. But if you haven't been to the OC Fair, you probably parked in Vanguard University, the actual parking lot. So there you go. I got a master's of education as well at Vanguard University, and I've really enjoyed Vanguard for all my years there. They have a great educational system, an amazing set of professors. I really learned quite a lot at Vanguard, and I'll forever be indebted to that school for really setting me on my path vocationally with teaching. So with teaching, I've been teaching for about actually 5 years now, which really time flies by. I spent 1 year as a student teacher, and that was in the Orange County, Costa Mesa area. My second year, I started off as a substitute teacher, so I subbed around really the entire Orange County area, Santa Ana, and you name it, up in Orange County. I've been probably to the school, and I subbed for a variety of different subjects and for a variety of different grade levels. And then, thankfully, I got hired at CCMS, and I've spent my last 3 years here at CCMS, and CCMS has just been absolutely wonderful. It's been great, and I've really, really enjoyed getting to know all the students that I've come to know over the years, and I've really been honored to help guide them into becoming better angels of their nature. Some interests and hobbies that I like. I really actually do enjoy playing video games. Recently, the PS5 got announced just yesterday, and I'm really looking forward to that. Probably some of your students are too, but it's a November 12th release date, and the pre-orders are already sold out, much to my disappointment. But that being said, I also love walking my corgi, Aria. It's always nice to get out and walk outside, and Aria certainly makes me make sure that I give her a walk. And I'm definitely invested right now in the Lakers winning it all this year. I was really surprised that the Clippers didn't end up even getting to the Western Conference Finals. They got beat by the Denver Nuggets. I think they overestimated their opponent. And I've been a Laker fan for years and years and years. Magic Johnson, James Worthy, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, and all the great Laker players of yesteryear. Of course, Kobe Bryant as well. So, the list can go on and on with the Lakers, but I'm really looking forward to seeing the Lakers hopefully win it all this year. All right. So a course overview in general, I've just selected a few courses that I generally teach throughout the year. One of which is the Roman Empire, which we're currently working on. And the Roman Empire is really, I was telling the students earlier, I think a day ago or so, that there are 3 different phases in the Roman Empire's history. So there's the original founding of Rome, which was founded with a bunch of kings, and it was really kings leading the Roman Empire, or just Rome at that time. Then you have the Roman Republic. Very famously, one of the most famous people there was Julius Caesar, and that kind of ended the Roman Republic. And then you have the Roman Empire, which starts off with Caesar Augustus, who oftentimes gets confused for Julius Caesar. So that's what we're studying right now. We're studying the Roman Empire, essentially. And the Roman Empire is really interesting in the sense that it coincides with Christianity as well. So, you really can't talk about the Roman Empire without also talking about the religion of Christianity and how the religion of Christianity intersected with the Roman Empire and, really helped to shape foundationally the Roman Empire. Actually, the Roman Empire, it's interesting. You have the Roman Empire originally goes against Christians and then suddenly turns around hundreds of years later and welcomes Christians into the empire, and in fact has an emperor by the name of Theodosius and Diocletian, who actually they themselves become Christians. Very interesting to see how the Roman Empire interacts with Christianity throughout its history. So we'll be studying that. We'll also be studying the Middle Ages in Europe. So that's all about knights, that's lords, that's kings, queens, chivalry, the feudal system. We'll also be talking about a very, very relevant topic within that unit. It's a subject that we cover. It's called the bubonic plague, also better known as the Black Death. It happened in the Middle Ages, killed off a wide variety of different people throughout the world, and it was a very scary plague. I mean, I know we're dealing with one currently right now, but as I explained to the students in the first week of class, history oftentimes can give you a really balanced perspective of how things were back in the day and can give you a sense of appreciation for how things are now. So I definitely would not want the bubonic plague right now. That would be such a horrible way. That's pretty bad, the bubonic plague. So definitely a relevant topic. We'll be talking about potential solutions. I have this essay in mind where students are interacting with the CDC, Center for Disease Control, and giving them recommendations about how to prevent a future plague in the world. So I think it's a very relevant topic that I think students will really get into. The next topic we'll be covering is the Renaissance. So the Renaissance happened in Italy, and you have your very famous artists and painters like Leonardo da Vinci, Michelangelo, Raphael, and all of these are very famous artists and very famous painters, and they really shaped the rebirth, which is what the Renaissance actually stands for. It stands for rebirth of new ideas, looking back at the Greeks, looking back at the Romans, and trying to reimagine the essence and the spirit of those times into a new kind of world. And then we'll go into medieval Japan. Medieval Japan is fantastic. I really like the subject of world history itself, because what it does is it allows students to get out of the bubble that they're in currently, right? Where they've probably only known Los Angeles, and it's kind of all they've known. And Los Angeles is great. You have a lot of cultural dynamics there within Los Angeles, but singularly studying different countries and cultures. I mean, we never have enough time to really get into all of it, but we have enough time to at least introduce the students to some really interesting topics. So, and I'm sure they'll love samurais and shoguns. Usually when I teach this, all the students are very excited when I tell them that we're going to be going into medieval Japan. So that's something to really look forward to. And again, this is just an excerpt of some of the topics that I cover. Generally speaking, the first semester of world history usually goes through the Roman Empire and the Middle Ages, because those are really two huge units. And then we start going into different worlds, like the Renaissance in Italy and medieval Japan, worlds that are a little bit more unfamiliar. Okay, so let's go ahead and keep moving on. So for my course, I did recommend to my students that, one, they'll need a notebook. We haven't taken really notes yet, as we're still kind of like new going into the class, but we are going to be taking notes soon. So please make sure your student has a notebook for my class. Obviously, make sure your student has a laptop. If you're having issues in getting your laptops, please go ahead and talk to the administration and email the office at the school, and they'll hook you up with a laptop. And then I always tell my students to have a positive mental attitude. If you walk into the class with a negative mental attitude, you've already lost. So it's really important that you always come in with a positive mental attitude, making sure that you are going to be positive for the day so that you can better receive information and just have a better outlook on things. So some student trends that I'm noticing in my class specifically, I feel like I'm really getting a lot of, or a good handful of sleepy students. So, this digital learning is definitely really different. It's still new, and everyone in the educational field is still learning about all of this. But I think it's really important for students to still have a sense of structure, to have a sense of routine. So the way in which you can help with this is please make sure that your students have a good night's rest. Just because it's a digital classroom doesn't necessarily mean that we're cutting away the responsibility of making sure that we get up on time, that we're ready, that we're prepared, that we're engaged. I have been seeing students with their hands kind of on their cheeks, their eyes kind of drooping, especially in the morning. So just please make sure your students are getting a good night's rest. I've also been noticing, and this is probably going to be a trend with other teachers you hear with these videos, that students have not been turning on their cameras. And that's not to discredit the students that are, and there are a good handful of students that do turn on their cameras, and I'm very appreciative of that. But there are also a good handful of students that are not turning on their cameras. So to me as a teacher, especially in a digital classroom age, what that says to me is that your student is not engaged. Your student is not paying attention. Your student is probably doing something else. So, please, on your end, if you could encourage your students to have their cameras on. Otherwise, it's really hard for me to keep them accountable when we're doing assignments. And it's hard for me to really connect with your student as well. So, on my end, I don't even see, well, I see a name, but that's all I see. I don't see a person, so it would really help me as their teacher to better connect with them if they actually had their cameras on. And then I've noticed this as well, when I ask questions and I'm asking for volunteers and things like that, there seems to be a lack of participation when called on, right? A sense of no replies or having to call on students multiple times to get a reply. I think a lot of this is just, there's room for a lot of distraction in the digital world that we're in right now. So if you could, on your end, as a parent and as a partner, just please make sure your student is not distracted and is focused on the task at hand. Remove any distractions that are potentially can cause for distractions around them. If you could check in with your student maybe every 10 minutes or so, making sure they're not working on something else or on a different tab on their computer. So it really is a partnership between you as the parent and me as the teacher. It really is. And it really is just about a sense of communication as well. So some contact information, my email address is i.swanson@puckschools.org. My Google number is 949-627-0458. So you can call that at any time. And office hours, I'm going to ask that you schedule it by appointment. So just email me. And if you really want to meet with me, I will set up a Zoom conference with you and we can get that rolling. Just please allow me 24 hours to respond. And then ways in which you can stay connected with the school, right? Parent portal, Power School. This is where grades are going to be continually updated. So I would highly recommend that you set one day out of the week where you and your student review grades together to keep up to date on what's going on with the class and the grades. And from there, you guys can formulate any emails or questions you might have about assignments. So please use that parent portal, Power School. It's there for you. It's there for your student to be up to date on their grades. You can follow us on YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram as well. And then you can check out our YouTube portal, Puck Community Charter Middle School on YouTube for some more information. All right, well, that's it on my end. Hopefully you have a great back to school night looking at all the other videos with all the other teachers. And I look forward to a successful school year with you, with your student, with the school, and with the community. All right, thank you so much. Bye-bye.